I had the feeling with this topic of biodiversity, taking into consideration that the topic was very large, from land use problems to protected areas, parks and so on. But this topic has not such a high political significance compared to water. So I thought it would be a chance now to make this exercise how we bring the people together for cooperation. The transboundary park idea is a little bit a door opener. It is fascinating to have an Everest which China and Nepal is considering, and it is not so much political, and even for tourism attractive for both sides and so on. So this is a little bit the door opener that governments, provinces and so on begin to realize is even an advantage for us to do something like that, as an income and then so on. So I thought this can help also. So, and biodiversity is not a hot political problem. And therefore, I always said, we have to reduce it to these transects. We cannot cover this huge mountain system as a whole, not possible. Make small test sites and so on to have a precise knowledge on this point, but always transboundary thinking here. We must use this opportunity now to create, and I had the feeling they accepted it in this conference. So if we would be successful in the future, that now these small transects or even complex areas inside such a transect becomes a cooperation point for 2 or 3 countries, this would be wonderful. Then we could have meeting in future in Isimoti, people come together as friends, you know, is also a first point to go on, I think. And I hope, I had the feeling at the end, this discussion have been started and the understanding have been started, and I had the feeling even in the board, is no problem to discuss transboundary problem here in Isimot. And like that, it would also be for Isimot an important step, the most important one. If Isimot could be the facilitator or even coordinator for certain programs which are for a whole region and accepted by the whole region, and the biodiversity is a first step in this direction, and I think the moment is coming when we can take climate and water and so on and go further into perhaps the social economic questions as the last one, because it needs a preparation of the ground. Otherwise the countries have the idea they are mixing internal things here, and this is not, it needs much more progress on this side, first from this. So I think I was very happy about the biodiversity, and the team here was wonderful to work, and I have the feeling it was understood, and I had an interesting comment from the most critical person in this conference, Christian Körner from Basel, that he said to me, I had much more than I ever expected, I had it from this conference bringing home. For me, this was a little bit a compliment, I think. And I hope, and this is the next step, that really something happened in the future, that it was not just a conference only. And this is a big task for Isimot, and a difficult task now to bring these groups together, I think, in future. Let's hope that not only a conference, but a follow-up of the conference will come. Yeah, this is now a difficult topic to predict, but one thing is very clear for me. I mean, this information sharing and this transfer of knowledge, this becomes more and more important. There is no doubt about that. And this is one thing. The second thing is, I am also sure that this mountain world will become slowly a much more important position as it had in the past. Because in the past, this was the peripheral area, economically not important, poor, and so on. it was neglected by policy. This went until the 90s of last century. It reached even, I think, the first decade of this century, I think. And slowly now this is turning. It is really interesting how many organizations begin to take in this mountain problem or resource problem in their programs. It is not yet finished, I think, in Africa. They don't care until now, or at least it is still very peripheral. So, but I think this will increase in future. And this means also the knowledge sharing and the knowledge transfer become also more and more important. And in this sense, I am very sure that the Mountain Forum will play a more and more important role in future. If you say, especially climate change, then it becomes very important that you have an exchange, what their people in another region, how they react, what they are doing, what they are thinking, what is their planning, especially the horizon in planning, is it in years, in 10 years and so on, what they are doing. All this becomes now more and more important to translate this climate change in real measures and so on. This is the most difficult thing. We had just now a discussion, and I see always, especially all these aid agencies, they want very fast the result. Then if they gave money and tomorrow they should show the results. I hate these questions, I must say. Because climate change, of course, if you have an extreme event, then you can see just something. But you are never sure, is it climate change or is it a normal thing? But climate change means it is a slow process, a growing process over decades, and you cannot just show results tomorrow. And we had just a discussion, and I said, look, it is the same in principle. We need now this network of climatic stations. But if Pakistan is measuring something else and in a different way than India and China, what an IPCC is doing with these things? Nothing. So we shall have no information at the end, we are left away. So in this sense also I begin to think these aid and agencies should also begin to work in another time horizon. The result is, and this would be a fantastic result, if ICIMOD would be able to help or to advise all these countries to do now, measure in the same way with same dates, for me would be a fundamental result. Even nothing for a village or a farmer or a plant and so on is done, but in view of the future processes would be a wonderful result. And like that it is for the water, and like that it is for the biodiversity. So for me also, sorry to say, the education of these aid organizations to begin to think in another time horizon with this problem of climate change is a very important question, and Mountain Forum should also help here a little bit to push in this direction. And if I see somebody coming in our meeting here, and the only things was said, what are the results of ICIMOD? And this is all. But then you know immediately this person has no idea what is happening in now and in the future in this area, which would be fundamental. And the cost of inaction, this is an important topic. You see now, the cost, once more, the cost of inaction is unbelievable. If you made such a mistake from some governmental employees, like that, neglecting the whole thing, not take it serious, and then 1,000 people dead, 866 villages destroyed, 2 billion, 2.5 billion. The German has calculated even 3.5 only on this remote sensing method. Who is once calculating the cost? These costs are much higher than all these aid contributions in a year here or in 10 years. Nobody is calculating what can happen if we are doing nothing. But this doing something is not from 1 year to another a sensation. It is a long-term investment to avoid these high costs of these events. That is what I showed in one picture yesterday, cost of inaction. We should begin to thinking in another way. And this is not only in science the same, but also the practitioners should think a little bit different, and the aid agencies should also begin to think in another way. Mountain Forum should help.